And at the end of days,
extraordinary intelligence has the ability to lead the world into a new light or make some major changes for the worse. It's a priceless treasure, even when based on countless failures. For overwhelming technology, people are willing to sacrifice a great deal. The Eruditio, located in the northwest of the land of Dawn, was the symbol of the highest intelligence. They made all that was impossible possible. Glorious and honorable as it may be, rebellion and hostility grow in the background of it all. Recently, a series of explosions became the headache of the Eruditio. All the clues and evidence pointed that the culprits were none other than their arch-rival, the Magic Academy. For the safety and dignity of the Eruditio, Bruno leads the Eruditio Rangers to find the criminal who caused the explosions. On the very moments of their departure, Dr. Rooney shows up and stops them. Apologetic and full of regret, Dr. Rooney unfolds his secret of the past. There was once a peaceful small town near Eruditio. One day, a technological experiment was carried out in the town. Everything went on smoothly until the final unexpected explosion terminated the fantasy. All the innocent townsfolk were devoured by the flame in an instant. No cries, no screams. The explosion was horrible and fast enough to cover every living creature under ashes. The Eruditio immediately sent out ambulances and emergency response teams to save the townsfolk. Unfortunately, only X-Borg survived, with his body severely injured. The Eruditio managed to remake his body so that X-Borg could live on. However, X-Borg could never forget the scenes of everyone's helplessness and desperation in the flames. Finally, he ran away from the Eruditio. Years later, coming back to his hometown, X-Borg found that the old houses of his forgotten town had been rebuilt into a technology dump. Feeling familiar and strange to this place, he gradually lost his temper. All he could think about was destroying the technology of the Eruditio. He resided in the dump, making use of the unwanted materials and transforming his body into an explosive weapon. He, however, knew clearly that he himself was not able to fight against the entire Eruditio. Therefore, he tried to create conflict between the Eruditio and the Magic Academy. Every time when the Eruditio held a celebration or announced a new invention, X-Borg was in the shadows, causing chaos. He held the belief that not every technological development was welcome in Eruditio. He would find his own methods to destroy the Eruditio. Rising from the burning ashes, X-Borg comes into the battlefield specializing in regen and burst tactics to take on any opposing foe. Filled with vengeance, a burning passion, and fiery emotions, X-Borg is ready to bring chaos and destruction in his path for the purest of revenge. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang. If belief could bring love, hope, and salvation to the world, then how come there are still hurt souls lingering about? It's a saying, carved on the stela of the Monastery of Light in the Manian Empire. Deep in the monastery stands an iron cage, called the Door to Rebirth. Within this cage hides the dark and secret history of the Empire. When the guards opened the lock, all they could see were startling sentences written on the wall. Break the belief. It's time to pay 10 years off. The world should be enshrouded in darkness. Suddenly, the cryptic news went around the Manian Empire. Terizla escaped. Feeling reborn, Terizla stops walking and takes a deep breath of fresh air, enjoying freedom while eyes remain closed. Suddenly, his body begins to hurt as if he were being punched by thousands of needles, and his veins begin to bulge around his eyes. His skin turned pale. There are only two emotions he can feel right now: pain, rage. Half conscious, he loses control of his action. He accidentally sees his ugly face, and old memories come flooding back into his head. It was indeed a disaster. Terizla was once the leader of the smiths in a small village near the Manian Empire. They could insert life into swords. Thus, with the help of these powerful weapons, even a common soldier could slay some of the strongest enemies. Soon, they received the good graces from the Empire. The Emperor sent out envoys under the name of belief in the Lord of Light. The Emperor asked the smiths to surrender the Empire, mimicking the tradition of instruction passed down through generations. Terizla kindly refuses them. Baffled by his decision and repeated refusal to surrender, the Empire paid them a visit with a blood surprise. All their blueprints were robbed, and all the smiths were wiped from history. Terizla was captured in the Monastery of Light and was forced to endure many experiments. He was suffering mostly from the experiment, rebirth, which made the death of the other smiths seem appealing. His memories kept being cleared, but Terizla knew that someday the Empire would pay for what they had done. Consumed by rage and misery, Terizla feels once again that his head would break apart any time. Suddenly, he is surrounded by a warm feeling, and a cute girl is standing in front of him. Don't fight it. Let the hatred spread and explode in this land. If you need any help, remember me, Abyssal Witch. His body no longer paining. Terizla calms down, confused and pensive. After a while, Terizla shows a hint of a smile. Staring at the Manian Empire far away, he knows that the real danger for the Empire is about to arrive. The chaos-imbued fighter, filled with hatred and despair, Terizla specializes in damage and burst assaults. Terizla comes into the battlefield with a powerful yet slow weapon that does devastating damage to any opponent in its path. Filled with nothing but anger and revenge, Terizla plans on allowing his hatred to fully consume him so that he'll be able to take back what is his and become the last legend of all legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.
Far from the Manian Empire stands an ancient castle. This castle has a glorious history comparable to the Manian Empire. Unfortunately, the castle collapsed overnight, as if it had suddenly disappeared. The tall gray walls were covered with dark black vines, which were more horrifying and strange under the moonlight. The breath of death makes the creatures close to this ancient building shudder and avoid. It seemed that the owner of the castle has been setting up the trap, waiting for the prey to fall. A man wearing feathers stood on a distant hill, looking at this deadly castle. He silently read the name of the castle, Negro Keep. He tried to recall the memories of the past, only to be filled with pain over all his body. This pain awakened his inner hatred. As the most prominent magician of the time, Theramis was the only survivor of the disaster. A few years ago, the queen of this castle, Vexana, betrayed her soul to save the fallen king, her husband. After gaining the ability to dominate the abyss, the whole castle was shrouded in dark energy, and the country was in chaos. Regardless of Faramis' efforts to save Vexana, she still didn't get better. Faramis kept trying all kinds of methods, hoping to cure the corrupted kingdom. Over time, it didn't recede the disease. On the contrary, Vexana gradually became eroded by this energy into a full-fledged monster. Gradually, this terrible rumor spread throughout the land of Don. The Monian Empire led the army to capture this place. For the peace of the mainland, the Imperial Knights had to destroy all the infected people here. Faramis pleaded with the Empire, but was rejected by the Empire. Instead, the Imperial Knights ignored the infected lives and chained Faramis in a heavily guarded laboratory. Faramis could only watch the whole castle being smeared with charcoal, with the army of the Empire retired 3 days afterwards. Faramis climbed out of the ruins of the castle miraculously. The castle was already unrecognizable. In order to survive, Faramis found the magic book of his life record in the ruins. In the days of exile, he tested all of these crazy dark magic on himself, constantly exploring the way he lived on his own body and creating more aggressive magic. The years of suffering had also turned him into a vengeful creep who never let go of any warriors of the Empire. With the Book of Resurrection in hand, he has already understood the forbidden yet immature magic. Still, the chains in his body are reminding him of the suffering from the Empire, pushing him to plot against the Empire for the rest of his life. The support mage, whose arcane abilities allow him to bring himself and others back to life, specializing in the initiator and crowd control playstyles. Faramis comes into the battlefield with a particular set of skills that allow him to play as the ultimate support player, reviving fallen allies as well as retrieving souls to maintain his health. Holding the Book of Resurrection in hand in many of years of suffering, Faramis now walks upon sunlight in the land of Don once more, to one day go down in history as a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends, bang, bang.
South of the Monian Empire lies a bottomless abyss, engraved into this barren landscape, as if an ancient demon used the sharpest of blades to carve a disfiguring scar into the land of Don. People call this the Shadow Abyss. Sealed away at the bottom of this legendary abyss lies the most terrible demon in the land of Don, the Abyss Dominator. But as the seal slowly fades, the will of the abyss gradually grows stronger. The demons at the bottom of the abyss tirelessly devise plans to strengthen the power of darkness, persuading misguided believers to provide them with sacrifices for their evil cause. They use these sacrifices to feed the Abyss Devil, a monster formed of purest dark energy that waits in the darkness to devour its prey. Selena, a young dark elf, was sacrificed to the Shadow Abyss by fanatics in exchange for dark energy, and as elves are the Abyss Devil's favorite sacrifices, Selena was offered up immediately by the demons. The Abyss Devil maniacally drilled into Selena, severe pain and desperation spreading through every corner of the young elf girl's body. Just as she was about to be consumed by dark magic, a miracle occurred. A warm blue light enveloped the girl, and the dark abyssal magic and this mystical power began waging a savage battle inside her fragile young body. Selena awoke, finding herself lying in the depth of the abyss, her skin now a mysterious blue tone and her lavender eyes filled with a scarlet glow, with the Abyss Devil lying quietly at her side. The demons of the Abyss were busy wondering what had just happened. Little did they know, the will of the Abyss had arrived. This girl is loved deeply, and this love has protected her from being consumed by darkness. The Abyss and the Moon God, these two opposing forces, have reached a balance within her body. An ancient heavy voice echoed through the minds of the demons. Leave this girl to me. She will become the strongest warrior of the Shadow Abyss. The demons obeyed the Abyss's command and left her there. When Selena reappeared before the demonic inhabitants of the Abyss, with the Abyss Devil at her side, she had completely forgotten her past. She found that she could skillfully manipulate the Abyss to release dark magic, a demon capable of tearing her enemies to shreds. The will of the Shadow Abyss appointed her as its voice, making it her duty to rule over the demonic's denizens. Even the proud queen of blood magic began to feel unnerved upon seeing this young dark elf girl, not only because the Abyss had chosen her, but also because Alice could sense the terrible power lying within the seemingly cute and mischievous youngster. The two-form magic assassin, Selena is a dark elf that specializes in reaping and burst assaults. Selena comes into the battlefield with magic and high damage to take on any unsuspecting foe. Filled with two dark competing powers, one just, one forbidden, Selena is out to set over her new role, her new dynasty, and become a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang. There was a land in the far north called Nosgal, where it was winter snow all year round. It was also known as the land closest to the frozen sea. And Nosgal's long history was the mythical bear. In the early days of Nosgal, there were thousands of bears that lived and fought with the people of Nosgal. With the help of the bears, they were able to survive in the world full of ice and snow. Then there was a young Masha, who was a descendant of famous hunters in Nosgal. She had a special ability to talk with the bears. She thought that the spirit of the bears, to forever fight without giving up, was the spirit of Nosgal. Soon people in Nosgal discovered the ancient beast power of the bear, which was believed to have helped these bears protect themselves and live long. In order to get and harness this power, people of Nosgal began to kill bears, and consequently started a war with the bears. The Bear King found that the bears were no longer respected by the people of Nosgal. He led his bears to resist and even attack Nosgal. The friendship between Nosgal and the bears was totally broken. Masha knew how important the bears were to the people of Nosgal. She started to rescue these bears by herself and help them return to their Bear King. This enraged the people of Nosgal. They not only decided to continue slaughtering the bears, but also to arrest Masha. However, the Bear King knew everything the Nosgal people did and decided to punish the Nosgal people by releasing the ancient power of Bear to transform those people who attacked the bears into a human-bear hybrid. Masha watched her people die. She decided to stop the bear invasion after escaping from Nosgal. She intended to solve the conflict between Nosgal and the bears. However, she was too weak to fight against the Bear King. Many bears followed their Bear King and attacked Masha. No matter how many times she was knocked down, Masha stood up and tried to find a way to defeat the Bear King. She used her special ability to communicate with the bears and let the bears fight against each other. When the chance came, Masha gave a final blow and defeated the Bear King. Masha could have defeated the Bear King, but the power of the Bear King was about to hit those innocent bears. She chose to protect the innocent. She was hit by the Bear King and fell down on the ground. The Bear King stopped his attack when he saw Masha getting hurt and finally forgave the Nazgul people. He healed Masha with an ancient power, which also gave her 3 lives. The Bear King promised Masha that there would be no war between the bears and Nazgul. Masha became the only power of the bears, with which she would continue to use to protect the Nazgul. The Nazgul people and the bears lived in harmony. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.
"30 years ago, a prince was born in the Manian Empire. He was the symbol of salvation and justice for his people. It was believed that he would lead the Manian Empire in unifying the land of Don. The Empire nobles gave everything to the prince. On the first day of the prince's first birthday, he was found dead in his baby bed, blanketed in blood. The room was covered with claw marks, and the guards in charge of protecting the prince were also found dead. Sorrow engulfed the whole Manian Empire. The hope of the empire had fallen, and to this day, there has never been such an inspiring prince. Some people believe the prince was killed by the demons, while others still hope the prince was still alive. The empire nobles appointed the imperial knights in the Monastery of Light to find out the truth. At the same time, the Son of Darkness was born too. After several years, something strange appeared in the southern hills of the Manian Empire. In the deepest part of the abyss, Thamus, the Lord of Lava, watched a special battle. In this glorious battle, the monsters fought with each other until the strongest emerged. He not only possessed the best evil gene, but also proved to be the strongest fighter among the demons. Alice embraced the beloved fighter and recalled the royal plan that she had carried out. He was a masterpiece for her. He mastered Alice's trick, deception, and military strategy. He also learned combat from Thamus. Now, the Son of Darkness is capable assistant for the Abyss. He will represent the Lord of the Abyss fighting against the Manian Empire, implementing the Dawn plan and destroying the shining spark of the Empire. The Demon Prince fighter, whose rage knows no bounds, specializing in charge and burst tactics. Dairoth comes into the battlefield with a powerful set of skills that allows him to be a very dangerous player to be up against. Holding royal blood and shrouded in darkness, Dairoth is now set on destroying his once home and truly becoming the most evil of all legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang. Born from stone, the Monkey King has been an extraordinary being since the very beginning. Once Sun was pinned down under a mountain by the gods, unable to move even a little bit. Sun watched as time changed and the ramifications this had on the world itself for what seemed like ages. The icy snow covered his body parts that were exposed outside the mountain, but could never freeze his searing heart full of eagerness for sovereignty over himself. When the opportunity arose, Sun chanted freedom as loud as he could and continued until he was able to break away from his imprisonment. After escaping, Sun enjoyed a joyous laughter before flying away. Now, the Monkey King's son has come to the land of Don. In this newfound land of mysticism and war, this stone-born king, with a soul that will never be tethered down again, will set out on a new journey. A journey that will write the first pages of his newfound quest and legend once again. Sun is a pushed-out fighter known for his clone summoning and staff play. Sun's stats allow him to be great in multiple roles, such as being a damager or being more tank-like. The Monkey King's son comes packed with a solid moveset, perfect for any player who are a fan of clones. With an empowering backstory, unique attacks, and being the Monkey King himself, Sun is without a doubt a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends, Bang Bang. In the historical records of the land of Don, there is said to be a mysterious race who sacrificed their souls to the ruler of the abyss in exchange for great power. Their bodies were transformed using dark magic, granting them the ability to swallow light and travel through space in the blink of an eye, allowing them to surprise their enemies with deadly sneak attacks. What was most terrifying about them, however, was the concoction of natural poisons emitted from their tails, for those unfortunate enough to come into contact with this poison would soon be saying their last words. However, this is what caused the ultimate demise of this race. In the annals, the specifics of how this race were wiped out are not made clear, but it is certain that this terrifying race definitely walked upon on the land of Don. Since their extinction, humanity has progressed prosperously. However, the history books could not predict that one day these creatures would slowly creep out of the shadows once more. The Shadowbringer, Hellcurt, is an assassin, known for his specialty in charge and burst tactics on the battlefield, being particularly adept in dealing with enemies with his special disabling ability and effective attacks. With Hellcurt, when death comes, you'll never see it coming. A once extinct race that is now slowly rising from the depths once more, Hellcurt will lead his brethren in a new fight. A new fight to take over the land of Don, and to be a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends, Bang Bang. Cho was born in a small remote slumdog, living a life of the lowest quality. This tough living environment had never worn away the kindness in Cho's heart. Cho cared for the elders and miners in the slum with passion. However, with the turmoil and instability that the land of Don raised, a situation outside had impacted this isolated slum, unfortunately. On occasion, Cho saved an old monk who was being chased, bringing him back to the slum and looking after him. In return, the old monk imparted an ancient Asian kung fu skill to Cho, and told him that the world needed a real hero to stand up and end the turmoil. After finishing his apprenticeship, Cho swore before the old monk that he would become a real hero. He set out on a journey to the center of the land of Don without even once looking back. Towards Cho's distant silhouette, the old monk nodded and drifted away. Cho is a versatile fighter, known for his quickness and skills. He has good stats all around, primarily in his durability and offense. Same with his attributes, having a good base in his physical traits. Cho also packs in a good amount of abilities. His passive skill is only fast, where after every 8 yards of movement, his next basic attack will deal 200% of damage and shortly slow down the target. His next skill is Jeet Kune Do, where Cho punches forward up to 3 times in a row, dealing 120 points of physical damage. The first 2 attacks will lower the target's movement speed by 60%, with the third attack knocking nearby enemies airborne. Also using this skill will refresh the cooldown on your next Shunpo. Cho's Shunpo skill allows him to dash a short distance, becoming immune to crowd control effects during the dash, and then reducing damage take for 2 seconds after the dash. His attacks will also penetrate target's armor by 5, stacking up 2 times. And lastly, Cho's final skill, the Way of the Dragon. This skill allows Cho to cast a roundhouse kick to knock back the target and deal 320 points of physical damage. You can then use the skill again to chase up the in the air enemy and deal at least 320 points of physical damage. With fun skins, great attacks, and a hero's journey, Cho is without a doubt a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang bang. Alucard was born in the capital of the Empire. His parents were once mentors to Tigreal's Order of Knights. In one of the Order's trial missions, Tigreal's overconfidence led to Alucard's parents sacrificing their lives in order to save him from demons. Unable to accept this harsh reality, Alucard went into the territory of the demons in order to search for his parents. All he found on the battlefield, however, was the family crest worn on his parents' chest. He was then suddenly ambushed by the demons, who captured and tortured him for months. He was eventually freed by a demon hunter, after which he took up refuge as resident of the Temple of Light. Alucard's youth was full of tragedy. During his captivity, his mind was consumed with surviving moment to moment, and the rage within his heart was buried. Though he was humiliated countless times by his demon captors, he never gave up his desire for revenge. It was this desire that gave him strength to survive his months of imprisonment. Alucard became drawn to the abilities of the demon hunter who rescued him. Unwilling to return to the Order of Imperial Knights that made him feel nothing but sadness, he went with the demon hunter to the Temple of Light. He trained there for several years, becoming an exceptional demon hunter himself. He spent his days researching how to better hunt and kill demons, holding nothing but the hate for demons in his heart. He followed the 3 principles of the demon hunters: independence from all organizations and territories, no mercy for even a single demon, no last missions. Most mysterious about him are the demonic claws on his right hand. Nobody knows what they are or how they got there. Alucard is a fighter and assassin known for his quick kills and lifesteal. Having strong physical skills, high damage output, and strong late game capabilities, in the right hands, Alucard is a player with the ability to change the course of almost any battles. With a heart filled with revenge, the ability to charge into battles quickly and assassinate his opponents, and the willpower to always stay alive, Alucard is a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang. Many years ago, the god of the very first ninjas created the Order of the Scarlet Shadow, formed of countless outstanding disciples. Over time, beliefs within the order diverged, and the Scarlet Shadow split into 2 factions, the Scarlet Sect and the Shadow Sect. Conflict between the 2 sects gradually intensified, even to the point of drawing swords on one another. In order to avoid bloodshed, the 2 sects decided that every 10 years, they would select the best Scarlet Ninja and the best Shadow Ninja to duel. The winner would inherit the title Scarlet Shadow Grandmaster, under whom the 2 sects would study according to the ninja code left behind by their god. 10 years ago, a shadow emerged possessing the kind of exceptional ability one sees only once in 100 years. Even the Scarlet Sect recognized his talent, but as they anticipated, the day the Shadow would inherit the Scarlet Shadow title to unite the 2 sects and resurrect the glory of the Order of the Scarlet Shadow, heinous events transpired that would change the ninja world forever. While undertaking a mission, the Shadow brutally killed the Scarlet Sect's leader and returned to assert his supreme dominance over the two sects. Betraying one's companions is the most unforgivable sin among ninjas, and the infuriated ninjas of the two sects decided to take action. They sent the foremost elite ninjas from the two sects to encircle the Shadow. The ensuing battle was the most chaotic in the Scarlet Shadow's history. The two groups of elite ninjas were all slain, and the injured Shadow fled the Scarlet Shadow with his life. This battle greatly weakened the sects, bringing shame to them both, and cracks between the factions emerged once again. In the end, the two sects agreed that whoever found and killed the disgraced Shadow would become the Scarlet Shadow Grand Master. The patriarch of the Shadow sect selected the young Hayabusa to undergo training to this end, teaching him the secret methods of shadow manipulation without reservation. And as fate predicted, 10 years later, he became the strongest ninja the Shadow sect had ever seen in their new rightful Shadow. However, Hayabusa knew in his heart that his only purpose was to kill the former Shadow. When the former Shadow re-emerged in the Land of Dawn, Hayabusa knew that the day of reckoning was not far off. Hayabusa is a top-level assassin, known for his high damage in one-on-one fights, having a great set of skills and an even more impressive passive ability to keep him in the game. Hayabusa is a force to be reckoned with in any match while controlled by a good player. With his mind on only one purpose, years of intense training, and a village of some of the strongest ninjas in the world behind him, Hayabusa is a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends, bang bang. The Paxley family is one of the most powerful and prestigious magic families in the Land of Dawn, and each member is raised to become a mage of the finest order. In their eyes, the path of the magician is the most sacred and noble vocation there is, and all those who brandish a sword in battle are merely weak, dim-witted fools. Gamin, however, is determined to break the mold. The patriarch's fourth son, he exhibited a high affinity towards light elements at a very early age, but rather than spend his days with his node buried in a book, Gamin would use his control over light to imbue himself with the speed to run laps of the family estate in mere minutes, and to enchant old ceremonial swords with powerful light energy. He always believed that the family elders were incurably stubborn and rebelled against their wishes at every opportunity. Finally, Gamin was given the chance to prove himself when the time came for him to take the Paxley family's most important test, a rite of passage into adulthood. With Gamin's blistering speed in battle, his opponent was unable to lock into his position, and with his light charged blade, he claimed victory before his opponent even had a chance to launch a single spell. The elders were in awe of his incredible form and fighting technique, but with their deep-rooted prejudice against physical combat and their strict adherence to tradition, they gave Gamin two choices: to either abandon his fighting style or be banished from the family. Facing such adversity and unable to control his rebelliously independent nature, Gamin chose to leave the family, convinced that soon the entire Land of Dawn would know his name and understand the true extent of his power. The assassin mage, known for his charge and burst assaults on the battlefield, not being scared of anyone and willing to test his skills and continued growth, Gamin comes into the fray with strong abilities and his trusty daggers. Coming from a rich and powerful family, abandoning these roots to follow a new purpose, Gamin sets out on the world to one day become a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang bang. Born from mysterious origins, little is known about PUBG Guy. Some say he is a demonic spawn whose sole purpose is to annihilate any and all who challenge him, while others say he's a genetically enhanced super soldier, nicknamed Chicken Dinner, created by the Soviets in their failed military occupation of the island of Erangel. Erangel is an island in the Black Sea, abandoned by the Soviets after many chemical and biological experiments on the local populace. After a formidable pushback from the growing resistance on the island, the Soviets abandoned their testing grounds, but left their last secret weapon. This secret weapon was PUBG Guy, whose only target initially was to annihilate these resistant forces and bring back the island to Mother Russia. Being dropped down on the island, stripped of clothing, weapons, and anything of importance, except for a parachute, PUBG Guy would have to find a way to survive and tackle his newfound opponents. And he did. After each downed opponent, PUBG Guy grew stronger, gaining more knowledge of the land, better weapons, and finally getting some clothes. After eliminating much of all of the resistant forces, the Soviets' initial plan on reclaiming the island for more of their tests drifted to a new, more dangerous course. Instead of testing new weapons and bombs, the Soviets are now dropping groups of 100 unknown people on the island, with the sole goal of eliminating the others and surviving for their one-course meal. Some say these unknown people being dropped down are actually the remains of the resistant forces, their families, their children, and a sick torture game for rebelling against the Soviets at the start. Others say it's a mix of amateur and pro gamers of the sport, who are now able to fully test out their abilities and true prowess in the battlefield to one day take on the mysterious PUBG Guy himself. But the few legends know, they are all simply fodder for the genetically enhanced super soldier known as PUBG Guy. Fodder that will enhance the super soldier into something that will change the world in the coming war. A war to truly save the world. PUBG.
That's it!
Roger lives outside the dark forest to the east of the megalith wasteland. He is a hunter rich in experience who hunts for his livelihood. Many dangerous animals live in the dark forest, and the most fearsome among them aren't rare magical creatures, but the old wolf king, Whitetooth, who leads a merciless pack of wolves, 100 strong. They are cooperative pack hunters, and Whitetooth also received the influence of an evil power that awakened magical abilities within him. To fulfill their hunting needs, the wolf pack gradually starting prowling outside the boundaries of the dark forest, often attacking travelers on the road. In the spirit of justice, Roger planned to get rid of this public threat and tracked Whitetooth's steps. Roger caught up with and blindsided Whitetooth just as he was devouring a little girl, and Roger cut open the wolf's belly. Roger had defeated Whitetooth, but the evil power lurking within Whitetooth contaminated the hunter. Even the purest of heart, a man who never forgets to say his prayers at night, will be unable to avoid turning into a werewolf under the full moon. Under the moon's call, Roger was shocked to find out the old legends were true. He had become a werewolf. To avoid losing his senses while transformed and harming his family, Roger had no choice but to flee far away from his home. Torn between his human form and his newfound beast form, Roger enters the battlefield filled with passion, heart, and a will to survive. With power comes great responsibility, and with the powers of the werewolf comes an even dire sense of urgency. Nonetheless, Roger will face any prey as he does any of his hunting expeditions, and become the first wolfman who will become a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.
I am Duke now, and I am alone. I have lived as a warrior. I have died as a god.
On a day much like today, Tigreal and his expeditionary forces of light charged into the Fortress of Despair with all their might, and swiftly decimated many of the undead lurking within. After this devastating defeat, Vexana realized she needed to find a formidable ally who could take on the Warrior of Light head on, or else she would face certain defeat. Vexana paced back and forth as she carefully pondered who had the strength to defeat Tigreal. Suddenly, a vivid image of a face from long ago seared across her mind. Leomord. A long time ago, the Fortress of Despair was actually the center of a beautiful and rich kingdom. Leomord and his royal knights vowed an oath to protect their king and the queen, who was in fact Vexana. Any invader who dared attack the kingdom could not avoid the fate of death by Leomord's sword. However, one day the kingdom came to ruin. That was the day Vexana transformed all of the kingdom's creatures into the undead. Lionheart fell into great despair. Even if he could single-handedly eliminate all of the evil from the kingdom, he could not raise his sword against the woman who was once his queen. He could not bear to watch the kingdom he loved and swore to protect fall into ruin. Leomord took his own soul out of sorrow and desperation. Leomord's strength and resolve burned so brightly in life that Vexana could not control him as a spirit. However, since the Fortress of Despair was met with a great danger, she had no choice but to awaken him. When he rose from the dead, Leomord felt that his soul was filled with torturous amounts of pain and despair. Whispering sweetly into his ear, Vexana told Leomord that the undead that stood before him were once the beloved people he swore to protect. She warned that if he did not protect the Fortress of Despair, then all of these innocent souls would suffer eternal damnation. Leomord had no choice. He would rather be a slave to Vexana's sorcery than watch his compatriots suffer another day. Leomord summoned his beloved horse, Borbal, and his famed sword, the Oath Keeper. Just as the expeditionary forces of light stormed the horrific Fortress of Despair, Leomord and Borbal struck the invaders with black lightning. Much of the expeditionary forces of light were decimated. No one could withstand Leomord's sword, or so they thought. Tigreal stood there in defiance with the sword of Dawn drawn against Leomord. As their swords clashed, Tigreal could feel Leomord's grief and despair coming from his sword. On that day, Tigreal knew he met one of the strongest opponents he has ever faced.
Victory is for the strong. And the strong are willing to embrace the darkness.
Brought back on this wretched land to serve his queen once again, Leomord charges into the battlefield with his sword raised. With hatred, despair, and death in his heart, the only thing keeping the undead warrior going forward now is protecting his queen while saving the many countless souls from eternal damnation. After defeating Tigreal and the new forces of light, Leomord hopes to one day make it back to the sunlight and become a legend once more. But not just a typical legend, but a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends, bang, bang.
皆さん、こんばんは。動画 ASMR 動画です。どうしなきゃいからなんですか？しなければ僕は日本語が少しだけできますので、前からしなければって。
Zilong, a son of the great dragon, sworn to roam from world to world, assisting wise rulers by the dragon's decree. Originally born from the Far East in an olden world, Zilong would grow up to become a military officer and general during the early Three Kingdoms period. Praised by many of his higher-ups that he served under, such as Liu Bei, Zilong was praised for his bravery and peerless strength. Fighting in battles after battles, Zilong showed that no matter what, he would serve his king and family, even against unsurmountable odds. During the Battle of Changban, after Cao Cao's forces inflicted a devastating defeat on Liu Bei's forces, and Liu Bei abandoning his family to flee, Zilong stood strong and protected his ruler's family and delivered them to safety. During the Battle of Han River, Zilong encountered Cao Cao's vanguard forces and fought them bravely before being circled. Never giving up, Zilong fought back against the troops until he had a chance for escape. Nearly escaping, he noticed his deputy was wounded, so instead of leaving him, he went back to save him and brought him back with him to escape. Retreating from Cao Cao's forces, Zilong executed a perfect counterattack with his other forces at camp, which not only startled his enemy's troops, but also caused many to trample one another and drown in the Han River. Disappearing from the world in the year 229, Zilong began his new ascent to new worlds, needing strong new heroes to rise up against their oppressors. Whenever a new king is in need of strength, Zilong traverses space and time to remove all obstacles and enemies before the king, using spear fighting techniques endowed upon him by the great dragon. One of the 5 Tiger Generals, honorable and fearless in his many battles, Zilong comes into the war ready to spear any obstacle in his path. Specializing in initiating in-charge tactics, Zilong is a skilled fighter assassin that can easily keep the morale high in your team even until the bitter end. Traversing space and time, assisting wise rulers by the dragon's decree, Zilong is an exemplary warrior that knows no bounds. After victory or defeat, Zilong plans to only become stronger and wiser and become another golden legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.
My rage burns for the abyss. One can survive my blade. Weak shall be crushed. All that stand against me will turn to ash. My legions will conquer the world.
Deep within the mountains, darkness reigns over everything. The only light is the crimson lava that flows in the bottomless crevices. Since the beginning of the Abyss's reign on the mainland, countless demons became loyal survivors of the Abyss. Fervent in their beliefs, the demon chant the will of the Abyss in these deep caverns. Only the strong deserve to rule. Guarding the Abyss for millenniums, a tribe of fire demons nearly became the rulers of the Abyss. Thamus, the king of the fire demons, and his people made the Abyss into a formidable power, unabashed to use cruel methods in achieving his goals. Possessing ungodly natural strength, Thamus was appointed chief of the Abyss, who led the Abyss to conquer all of the underworld. To Thamus, all of his opponents were worthless scum, unworthy of living in this world. In his eyes, only he was worthy to lead. Thamus could not accept the blood demon Alice, as her bloodline was not pure, thus unworthy to command and enter war. With the gates to the Abyss about to open, legions of demons eagerly await Thamus' return. However, once the king of fire demons returns, he will burn away all the weak demons. Only the strong deserve to be a part of the abyssal army. Thamus has been waiting for the day he leads the abyssal army across the land of Dawn to let it be known, only the strong shall reign.
Priceless, the look upon your faces is for extinction, all your puny races are for revolution, which will be televised. F is for how f***ed you are. Now allow me to reprise.
The king of the fire demons and true protector of the Abyss, Thamus comes into the battlefield to show only the strong should reign supreme. Specializing in reap and burst tactics, Thamus is a skilled fighter that, if played right, can leave any of the best opponents guessing. With the gates to the Abyss almost open, and demon hunters like Alucard and Granger in his path, Thamus will make sure to crush them with all of his might and purge the world of the weak, and become the only legend amongst dead legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang. There was once a tale going around the land of Dawn about a musician. No one ever knew from where he came, nor where he was headed. Everyone just called him the vagrant poet, Granger. Granger was orphaned during the war between the Manian Empire and the Southern Mountains. He was picked up by the Imperial Army, then sent to the Monastery of Light. Similar to all orphans, Granger was silent and isolated. He never showed many feelings through his cold eyes. Only when the melody of violins emerged in the monastery would Granger show any interest in anything. getting lost until the music ended. Every orphan in the monastery has two options for their future on adulthood: to be a demon hunter, living by completing the secret task assigned by the Empire, or to be a servant of the monastery, doing the cleaning and washing for a lifetime. To everyone's surprise, Granger chose guns and violins at the same time, meaning that he would choose both options. More precisely, he would choose neither of them. He abhorred war and demons, to which he lost his family and home. Thus, he wouldn't hesitate to be a hunter. Violins, however, meant a lot to him as they soothed his misery and nightmares. Much to everyone's surprise, Granger was in fact tone deaf. Since he received his violin, Granger played lousy music wherever he went. The noise from the violins would be so bad that his opponents would lose focus. Granger would take this opportunity to shoot his enemies with his gun before they could realize it's a trap. Soon after, he took the lead among the demon hunters. Even the S-level tasks were not a big deal to him. Impressed by his efficiency and abilities, Alucard, one of the most well-known demon hunters, admired and respected Granger. The news about Granger soon spread among the demons. As long as they heard a horribly sad melody, they would escape with haste. Otherwise, it would not go well from them. After all, a painful death awaits. A highly skilled demon slayer whose love of particular melodies knows no bounds. Granger walked into the battlefield, fearing no man or other. With a tone-deaf ear, guns, and a quiet demeanor, Granger is a great marksman who specializes in reap and burst tactics. After dealing with the many demons in his path, Granger plans on making a name for himself. Not just in the musical world, but the land of Don, and become a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.
Exterminate all life. No one is safe.
A great civilization rose out of the ashes of history, but the aggressive nature of the Castians have persisted to the present. Castians use their time-space warping and psionic mind abilities to vanquish weaker races at pleasure. After countless generations of evolution, the Castians have been able to fully mentally manipulate the insect spirit, Domri, or the nightmaric spawn, as they call her in the Castian language. This immortal spirit is able to appear at anywhere with enough power to break through any known physical or magical barriers. After the Castians brought her back to their home planet, they inscribed her spirit into an almighty staff. This staff is now wielded by the king of the Castians, Zask, who has already used it to invade numerous worlds. Through invasion, the Castians have been able to enslave the minds of the inhabitants and plunder all their resources. Zask has left his plain dominator signature on the many worlds that he has scourged. One of the many spirits he sent out to scout for ripe worlds was entrapped by the saintly angel Argus. However, after Argus was downcasted, the spirit escaped and re-established the link with the Mother Blood. This in turn made Zask aware of the land of Dawn. Seeing the vast resources that are ripe for plunder, Zask has landed upon the fabled land to do what he does best: dominate, kill, and reap. The Conqueror of Worlds, Zask is a menace to any society where he lands. Specializing in push and poke tactics, Zask is a skilled mage that fights with power and authority over all. Through decades of conquering planes and knowing no equal, the Land of Don may be the first place Zask has to fully use his general mind fully in the war. The heroes of Don are the only things keeping the land whole. For now. But if Zask wins, he will be sure to annihilate the history of the legends and wipe out the rich land and become the only legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang. Bang.
Not the first assassin sent to kill me.
Yushin Shin was a famous general, famed for his victories in the Imjin War. Being extremely loyal and of prowess, he made sure to give his full heart in all of his battles. At the time when the nation was in danger, he built a powerful navy and created the Iron Armored Turtle ship, making an inevitable contribution to his kingdom for dominating around sea areas. Wherever Iron Turtle ships sail on, the sea areas belong to me, said he. He was excellent in overtaking majority with a minority. Under the leadership of him, his kingdom's navy defeated over 330 enemy warships with only 12 ships, getting the great triumphant of battle. Battle after battle, he fought with bravery and strength, almost always being outnumbered or outgunned, but finding a way to win. Believed to have died in one of his many naval battle expeditions, he would mysteriously disappear to the Land of Don, having a new kingdom to serve and new waters to conquer. To this day, the legend of this ancient general still lives on in the people's hearts, and now this legend will become again in a new land and in a new time. Being a warrior of high skill, both in archery and in naval combat, Yushin Shin is a warrior that knows no bounds. Specializing in reap and poke tactics, Yushin Shin is a skilled marksman that you'll always have to keep your eye on. Naval conquest after naval conquest, defeating stronger and stronger armies. As his influence grows, he hopes to settle in this newfound land of Don to set a new path for himself, to not only become a legend in the seas, but also a legend in marksmanship, and become a true legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang. Bang.
And now, in the twilight of my life, this understanding has passed into contentment. Love, liberty, and time, once so disposable, are the fuels that drive me forward. And love, most especially, mio caro.
The birth of Saber traces back to the early years of Laboratory 1718. In the beginning, he was a scholar in one of the most famous invention teams in Scholar City. Dr. Rooney hoped that this team would be able to unlock the ultimate potential of mechanical invention and lead the world into a glorious age of technology. But the radically intellectual scientists became more and more infatuated with modifications to the human body. They engaged in insane experiments that ignored the limits of what the human body could tolerate. They were willing to try anything, use any combination of technology in power, so long as it enhanced human abilities that had not yet been unlocked by nature. Because of this, Dr. Rooney was forced to disband and banish this team of scientists. Though they had lost Dr. Rooney's favor, the scientists did not abandon their dreams. They established a laboratory of their own, a symbol of the reverence that held for their inventions. Laboratory 1718 was thus born, and it gathered radical scientists from all parts of the world to conduct strict and rigorous experiments on the subjects with goal of creating stronger, ever more advanced human weapons. The scientists gathered the genes of 100 of sword masters of all different races, combining them with cutting-edge technology to create the first artificial man. This was Laboratory 1718's first creation, and they named him Saber, after origins of his creation. Saber's personality was proud and aloof. The sword he wields capable of cutting space-time itself. With his sword, he traveled between the dimensions, his skull unmatched by any enemy he encounters. Yet, because of this, Saber was extremely lonely. Gradually, he realized that after each battle, when he returned back to Laboratory 1718 to prepare himself, he was no longer able to remember who his opponent had been. This realization caused him to become curious about the origins of his creation. He also began to wonder about his true identity, another question he was unable to answer at Laboratory 1718, where all he did was submit his battle instincts as he completed missions. Gradually, he grew tired of such an existence. He decided to break free from Laboratory 1718's control and travel to the land of Dawn, where he to find answers in his own heart through endless battle. Breaking away from the laboratory to find his own destiny and find his true self, Saber stumbles into the land of Dawn, ready for anything. Specializing in reap and charge tactics, Saber is a skilled assassin with the mastery of the blade that holds no bounds. Battle after battle, life taken after another, Saber hopes to find not just his origins, but his true meaning on being alive and what he needs to do in order to fulfill his heart's true desires. With immense wonder and curiosity, Saber hopes to leave his previous bleak existence and become a legend in a new world. A new world amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.
Only one fighter can walk away alive! It shows how serious we are about winning! Behold! Yes. That was one hell of a battle. We used to fight side by side. Those were the days.
In the east of the land of Dawn, between the old village Stream Valley and the Scarlet Shadow, a huge totem ruin stands among the mountains and forests. Some believe that it symbolizes a kind of faith, or, as an oracle claimed, is guarding the land. Not far from it, there are mysterious stone steps covered by some leaves. The winding stone steps reach to the sky. Its destination is the land of Drano, also known as the land of the Black Tortoise. In a 100-mile radius, the stone land is fringed by a cloud forest with an enormous shadow sitting in the center. It seems that he is cultivating himself. Meditation makes one keep away from disputes. However, the cloud begins to grow gloomy. There is a feeling of tension in the air. Suddenly, dozens of chains penetrate the clouds and some assassins land on the stone land. There's a word on their mask: Cyan. They want to lock Baxia with their chains. Fortunately, with the protection of his steel shield made with black ore, Baxia can safely release his power. Those assassins are beaten down, moaning in anguish. However, when one of these assassins mentions Cyan Finch, Baxia is astonished. He knows that it is the name of the best assassin of the Cadia Riverlands and how powerful he is. He knows that Cyan Finch is on his way to kill the Great Dragon. Baxia realizes that he must make an important decision now. This causes him to recall the unforgettable war that occurred hundreds of years ago. Peace makes people weak. Only fighting can awaken the inner courage. He vaguely remembers that this was once the life motto of the Black Dragon. Baxia and the Black Dragon used to be perfect mates when they were apprentices of the Great Dragon. Black Dragon had a great talent, and no matter how hard Baxia trained himself, he couldn't become as good as him. However, the man he most admired went astray. Black Dragon dreamt of traveling out from the hidden land of dragons. He wanted to adventure around the world and make people accept the dragons. Gradually, his dream also affected Baxia. However, although they were so close, Baxia was still weaker than the Black Dragon. Black Dragon often snuck away from the hidden land of dragons to go explore the world. Baxia was often blamed by the Great Dragon for assisting Black Dragon. One day Black Dragon came back to the hidden land with a different spirit. He changed both internally and externally. He was no longer the same as he used to be. The thing that the Great Dragon worried came to pass. Black Dragon became possessed by evil. Baxia could feel his intention of killing. Black Dragon violated the Great Dragon's orders and launched attacks. The betrayal of Black Dragon irritated Baxia. In a critical moment in the war between Black Dragon and the Great Dragon, Baxia knocked Black Dragon out of the clouds and protected his master. Black Dragon disappeared. Baxia still remembered Black Dragon's eyes at the moment and the voice that arose in the sky. I will come back. Now Black Dragon has assigned his best assassins to kill the Great Dragon. Baxia doesn't want this to happen. Baxia feels conflicted with his choice, saving his master who is indebted to by confronting someone who was once his closest brother. Baxia tries to force the assassin leader to tell him where Black Dragon is, but these assassins refuse to say anything and commit suicide by taking poison. Baxia wants to go back to the hidden land of dragons as soon as possible to assist his master and make up for the errors of his ways. A great warrior that was betrayed like many before, Baxia comes into the fray with a new set of skills to rival many. Specializing in crowd control and initiator tactics, Baxia is a skill tank that is ready to go toe-to-toe with any enemy or assassin in his path. Protected by his shields and unwavering warrior spirit, Baxia comes into the land of Dawn for vengeance, for loyalty, and to become a legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.
And at the end of days, the first sign shall appear in the heavens. Justice shall fall upon the world of men. Will clash across the fields of eternity.
Argus and Vela were heavenly angels that descended upon the land of Dawn at the same time, one responsible for eradicating evil, the other for eradicating suffering. As Argus fought through countless battles, he soon became obsessed with the pursuit of power. After one such battle, the ruler of the Abyss came to him, promising to grant him unparalleled dark power and to unveil the secrets of an ancient seal to him. Argus, corrupted by lust for power, accepted the power of the Abyss, unleashing the ancient seal of an evil abyssal entity and summoning forth a blazing demonic blade. And by sacrificing his own life to the blade, he was able to gain even more power. Now, Argus wanders the world, seeking conflict and war, so that he can consume more souls to feed his hellish weapon. A heavenly angel tasked with eradicating evil, now becoming the very evil he once fought. Specializing in charge and burst tactics, Argus is a skilled fighter corrupted by evil but trained by the heavens. Battle after battle, death after death, Argus continues to seek war and death to continue his rise and strengthen power by consuming the fallen souls. Faced with new powerful enemies, Argus hopes to consume them as well and become the only legend amongst dead legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang. In the land of Dawn, from the Enchanted Forest to the crack of the Abyss, the Blood Demons use their noble bloodline and extreme intelligence to enslave the Orcs, symbols of barbaric strength. The Blood Demons see the Orcs only as their servants. In addition to searching for their own good, the enslaved Orcs are also tasked with hunting for a very special food for their masters, Moon Elves. The Orcs suffered greatly during their 30 years of enslavement, and their great ancestor, the Crazed Savage, hoped for an early end to their period of slavery. The Orcs had organized rebellions against the Blood Demon rule in the past, but each time they were met with death and destruction. It was during one of the larger of these rebellions that the rebel leader's wife lost her life giving birth to Balman. Balman was raised by his father in their clan of Orcs. The unusual circumstances of his childhood led him to grow up with a violent temper and a love of battle. He achieved victories in all of his battles against the Moon Elves and humans, and many became hopeful that he would continue in his father's legacy and command the Orc army. Growing fiercer with each battle, Balman became the strongest warrior in the Orc tribe. Years later, after his father had grown old and was near death, he told Balman of his mother's tragic death. This caused him to be even more determined to free his people from enslavement at the hands of the Blood Demons. Balman led his Orc tribe in a night assault against the Blood Demon's main camp. He hoped to defeat the Blood Demon leader, Alice, and thereby break the contract of enslavement between them. The Blood Demons, however, proved to be much stronger than Balman anticipated. In a moment of desperation, Balman decided to bite one of the Blood Demons to suck their blood and acquire their special strength. The few Orcs remaining followed suit and grew stronger as the strength of the Blood Demons joined with their own. Now, in a frenzy, Balman swung his bloody axe and slaughtered all Blood Demons before him. Alice knew that he was no longer a normal Orc, but a hybrid creature that would become known as the Blood Axe Orc. The corner of her mouth rose up in a smirk as Balman approached, his axe raised in preparation. Even as it swung down, preparing to sever her head from her body, Alice showed no fear. The axe was stopped by a mysterious power, just as it was out to meet Alice's skull. It was then that Ballman realized that by acquiring the power of the blood demons, he had once more become subjected to Alice's control. Just as he was on the brink of liberating his people from slavery, his urgent need for freedom was again denied. Even today, these events still weigh heavy on Ballman's heart. He never intended to become an orc mutant, but is unable to escape Alice's control. The blood demons had gained a special force with the strength of 2 races, greatly increasing their power. Every time the blood demons summon him, he is forced to honor the contract that binds him. In between those times he rested, unable to pursue his own course of action, until the summons is heard and his blood axe reigns supreme. Enslaved purely for being an orc, Ballman is forced upon the land of Dawn to do the bidding of the blood demons. Specializing in tank and fighter tactics, Ballman is a powerful warrior who fights for freedom for his people. War after war, loss after loss, Ballman hopes to one day free his clan from the blood demons and set a new path for his people. With the power of 2 races, and now leader, Ballman will break the chains of slavery and become a true legend amongst legends. Mobile Legends. Bang, bang.